Alright, this is a game on Sand River in the Tier 9 German Heavy, the VK45.02B. I don't usually post LOL videos, but I just thought that this match was somewhat entertaining. There's a little bit of education in here, but it's more just hilarious in my opinion than anything else. So in Sand River, in heavy tanks, particularly heavy slow tanks, you often see a lot of tanks go north. I think it's still important to try to play this south here. It is quite playable. They changed a lot of these ditches over here, and you can also use the town. In this particular case, I'm platooned with Lefty and Obey, and Obey is going to go set up right here in that F7 square, which is a really great place to go if you're a medium tank. You can spot into this middle area here, like any of their guys going northeast through that E4-ish area. And you can also get shots on both sides fairly easily. Lefty's going to go to the south, and he's going to go into this sort of ditch area over here, which is usually pretty good. And certainly once you get a little bit further up, it provides a lot of protection for you. And so based on where these guys are going, you'll notice we still got a lot of guys in the base and kind of hanging out, and that happens a lot in pubs. So based on what we're doing so far, I'm going to go set up in town. It's going to take me the 4502B is kind of a slow tank, so I typically will just try to drive it in a direct fashion as possible, and we'll see what we run into. And so I'll go through here and basically use the town as cover. And then you look at our setup, right? We still got, 5 tanks that aren't already in town. Usually these positions aren't that useful until a little bit later in the game.
It's a trap!
So they've got a Centurion 1 up here relatively quickly. And then so I can just use these houses and see if I can spot things. Things are trying to shoot me. And then what you'll notice is that, see how like the Centurion backed off because he can't just sit out there. If they come up over here, they'll have better shots on me, and then like Lefty and this AC-48 and these guys won't really have shots on him. Obeyrus will have shots on him because of the position that he's in. He can shoot into that area. I'm just trying to feel out the team, right? I know that they have the majority of their tanks on this side, and I'm like, oh great, now they got the E4 over here. And the hull armor on this tank is strong, but the turret armor is relatively weak. So I asked Obey to focus on that E4 if he can. That E4 is the biggest threat to me because I can't really hide from him. And Obey is in a great place to actually shoot him. And our artillery gets a nice shot on him as well. And I'm having a wonderful shooting game so far. And so they're essentially blowing down my houses, and so all I have to do is just retreat a little bit. And they still got a lot of tanks in front of me. We've got some tanks moving up here. That 50B is moving up through the city, and that's actually going to end up being key because he's going to get this 110 off of my side.
It's a trap!
And then again, all I'm really trying to do is keep these guys lit, keep their attention, make sure that they're trying to shoot me, which will give Obeyrus a lot of easy opportunities to shoot guys because of his positioning. And you'll notice that he's got an easy time because he's not really being pressured from the other side, so there's nobody really shooting at him, so he can just sit there all day and just shoot at these guys. Then I get hit by the artillery there, and then based upon where this building is, I determined that the artillery is probably in the in this G1-ish area, so I have to either move back or you sort of position yourself accordingly.
It's a trap!
And so that E4 is still alive back there, but he's had a tough time trying to actually shoot me, and our artillery's actually done a good job of shooting him. I just need to relight him. Their guys have moved up into here, this sort of K5 position, which isn't really that big of a deal for me.
It's a trap!
And our 50B is still over here, so he's going to be able to get to the flanks of these guys. And they've spent a lot of energy essentially just trying to shoot me, so the 50B is still at full health. And then by then, you know, we've whittled them down so much because Oberys literally has just been sitting here the whole time shooting them, that, you know, they've pushed through, but at that point, you know, if you don't clear out this town, you can't really push through because you're just going to push yourself into a flanking position, essentially. And then the rest is pretty much just cleanup. It's not all too difficult. And so yeah, really the moral of the story for this particular case is that, you know, if we didn't have the proper fire support there, if we didn't have Lefty and Oberys, you know, actually in places where they could give supporting fire, suppressing fire on those guys, then it makes that suddenly a lot more difficult. But when you do have that supporting fire, and you are relatively good at positioning yourself in terms of, you know, incoming fire and, you know, making yourself an annoyance, right? We were the focus of their team for the first, you know, 3, 4, 5 minutes of most of the fire on that southern flank. They had most of their big tanks down there. And so if you can do that, then you can sort of create opportunities for your team, which is essentially all that we really did there. And it was the same thing, like if we had run into less tanks, then we probably would have continued going through this town and then got up underneath on this K line and pushed there. But given what they did, their response was to sort of push halfway into like this K2 sort of J3-ish area, depending on which tanks you're talking about. That sort of left them more vulnerable to getting shot, certainly by Oberys and or Lefty. But it sort of allowed me to use a lot of these houses to minimize the amount of incoming fire that I could take at any one time. And so when you look at the statistics of what happened, this is why the 4502B is the #1 scout NA. Got the scout medal and the patrol duty. And when you look at the damage, we didn't really do any damage. Poor shooting on my part, but also, you know, a lot of times when you're in that frontline position, you're spending more time shielding yourself and trying not to get shot than you are sort of trying to get off little pot shots, because you don't want to trade poorly from that position because there is so much incoming fire at that point. And so we ended up getting 7,200 damage on detect and a patrol duty because, mostly because of Oberys and Lefty sitting back there and making sure that they could get shots. And Oberys in particular, because he wasn't ever pressured on that little hill, so he just got to sit there the whole game and just shoot people for free. And so when that sort of stuff happens, that makes it certainly a lot easier. And that when I say that, I'm trying to highlight this idea that you can frontline for your team, and if you have capable shooters back there, I mean, your position will reward them, you know. And ideally, if you know, if they're capable, their ability to deal damage to the people that you light is going to reward you, because it's going to, you know, make it so that you don't get obliterated by those people. Anyhow, I thought it was a rather entertaining game because of that. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.